All right, let's get to it. We close in on our first bout. A couple of LA fighters. WBC number 12 ranked heavyweight contender Mount Whitaker goes against unrated David Dixon, scheduled for 10. And when last we saw David Dixon, he was 277 pounds and fighting former champ Tony Tucker in the sweltering 120-degree heat of Indio, California. That was 96. Dixon coming out in wild fashion. Got decked twice en route to an embarrassing first-round KO. He was so depressed, he left the game for 4 years. Now he wants to redeem himself. A survivor, very tough childhood, left on a doorstep as a kid, lived in foster homes on the streets of downtown LA, wandered into a gym and began boxing. Was being built up as the guy of the LA Forum. Despite no amateur experience, showed great potential, but it's been an up and down career, Bobby. Inactivity, in and out of shape. He says he's rededicated. You know, he's a pretty big guy himself, but how can he offset Whitaker's height and reach advantages?
Steve, the only way he can do it is he has to crowd Whitaker, has to get inside, but when he gets inside, he has to do it carefully, not take a lot of punishment on the way in. Once he gets inside, he can not only neutralize the height and reach, but he can turn it to his advantage with good, solid, efficient infighting and body work. That's his only chance.
And the towering Mount Whitaker out of Granada Hills, California, very laid back. Very funny, too. May have a career in stand-up comedy looming. Be the tallest stand-up comic in the world. Good amateur career. Won numerous titles. Won his first 18 as a pro before losing a disputed split decision to a guy named Lou Savarese, who recently lasted but 38 seconds with Mike Tyson. Won the WBC Continental America's belt over Monty Barrett last August, then retained the title on a second-round KO over Thomas Williams in June. Bobby, is it simply the unusual height that garners this guy most of the attention, or is he a legitimate talent?
Well, Steve, I think it's not only the height, but the nickname Mount Whitaker. I mean, he looks like a walking mountain. He's got a good physique. He's intimidating to look at, but he doesn't hold wins over any of the big names, the top 10 heavyweights. He's not ranked in the top 10 by any of the sanctioned bodies. What he really needs to do is step up his level of competition, test some people, and then he'll therefore be tested, and we find out if he's for real or not.
We want to see also how aggressive and how powerful he really is at that size. Let's check the numbers. Whitaker at 28 is 4 years younger than Dixon. 4.5-inch height advantage for the 6'8" Whitaker. Huge 84-inch reach gives Mount a 6-inch advantage there. At the weigh-in 2 days ago, Whitaker gave away 16 pounds. And the key rules for this non-title bout in the talent-challenged heavyweight division. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. If an accidental headbutt occurs before the end of the 4th round, it's ruled a no contest. After the end of the 4th, we go to the scorecard. All right, so here at the Grand Ballroom at the Regent in Las Vegas, getting ready for Lance Mount Whitaker versus David Dixon. The formal introductions from our ring announcer, Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you, and we welcome you to the beautiful Regent Las Vegas as we have a big night of action coming your way, and it's all brought to you courtesy of America Presents in association with Showtime, Championship Boxing, and Budweiser, the undisputed king of beers. At this time, we present the big boys of boxing, a heavyweight special attraction scheduled for 10 rounds of boxing. Introducing the officials as appointed by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, our physicians at ringside, Dr. Flip Pomansky and Dr. Margaret Goodman. Timekeepers at the bell also keeping count of the knockdowns. We have Jane Broadfoot and Mike Lachella. Introducing our 3 judges, all from Las Vegas, Nevada, Bill Belegia, Jerry Roth, and Dalby Shirley. And introducing the 3rd man of the ring, our referee in charge of this bout, Richard Steele. All right, fans, here we go. Introducing to you first on my left, fighting out of the blue corner, entering the ring wearing white trunks with black trim, fighting out of South Central Los Angeles, California. He weighed in at 264 1/2 pounds. With a record of 21 wins, 3 losses, and 2 draws, he has 19 wins coming by way of knockout. Introducing dangerous David Dixon. And his opponent across the ring, ready to fight on my right, out of the red corner in this 10-round non-title attraction. He is wearing white trunks with black trim, fighting out of Granada Hills, California. He weighed in at 248 1/2 pounds. His fight record stands at 20 wins, only 1 defeat, with 17 big wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the WBC Continental America's heavyweight champion, known as the 8th wonder of the world, introducing Mount Whitaker. Once again, Richard Steele is our referee in charge now to give instructions.
Okay, you guys, I gave you both instructions in the dressing room. I'm cautioning you again. Obey my commands at all times. Any question? Shake hands, good luck.
Bobby, your keys to victory for Whitaker versus Dixon.
All right, Steve. We'll start with David Dixon. Certainly the shorter fighter. He has got to get in. I'm sorry, Whitaker, shorter, the taller man. Utilize his height and reach and establish the jab. And you know what? That straight right hand is wicked. He sets it up behind a beautiful jab. David Dixon has to crowd Whitaker. Take away that height and reach. Also work on the inside, especially to the body, and then the overhand right, which Whitaker's shown some susceptibility to.
And they get right at it here. Round 1 scheduled for 10. These are big heavyweights. Whitaker pounding away with his back against the ropes.
Well, he's certainly crowding Whitaker is Dixon. I mean, this is what he has to do. He has to stay in here. It's his best chance.
Whitaker, though, more effective fighting off the ropes. Dixon claims he dropped Whitaker with a jab in a fairly recent sparring session as Whitaker was preparing for his last fight with Tom Williams. Whitaker says it was a slip, not a punch that sent him down. Nevertheless, there is apparent bad blood between the two.
You know, the fact that they've sparred together many times lets them both have a little bit of insight into each other prior to the fight. Sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's bad. We'll see who made the adjustments here for the fight as opposed to sparring.
Well, with Whitaker's size, Bobby, you would figure him to be the aggressor in this one, although David Dixon coming out very aggressively. But Whitaker does tend to start slowly. Now, Richard Steele has to get in because of a low blow there by Dixon, telling him to keep those punches up. Now a low blow by Whitaker. A low blow by Mount Whitaker, and Dixon takes a knee.
You know, I'll tell you what, I don't think that Richard Steele saw that that blow is low, and it's going to count as a 2-point round for Whitaker. It's not even being addressed.
So a little cat and mouse going on here. First Dixon with a low blow, and then Whitaker retaliated with a low blow. Whitaker's appeared to be a lot worse.
Whitaker's face a little red here, too. There's been a lot of roughhousing on the inside by Dixon. It's a smart move, I think, to get Whitaker flushed. There he hit him with a low blow again.
Oh, it's getting awfully dirty here right at the outset.
This is second warning.
Second warning to Dixon.
Okay? Come on. Time.
Whitaker is, I mean, he's just looking to time Dixon on the way in. There he hit him with a left hook. Dixon takes a knee.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Whitaker wants to stand the outside in time. Dixon on the win. Dixon's charging in very ineffectively.
And a cut around the left eye of Mount Whitaker opening up. With 40 seconds left in the opening round. Lots of activity here in round 1.
And you have to wonder with that charging if the head might not have clashed with Whitaker. That was not a knockdown. That was a slip.
Dixon just tripping as he throw, and they're calling it a knockdown. That was a trip, a slip by David Dixon. You hear the crowd reaction. They do not agree with Richard Steele's assessment. Oh, look at Whitaker just wailing away at the head of Dixon.
Dixon landed another one way south of the border.
He's stopping the fight.
He's disqualifying Dixon.
He's stopping the fight. Is it a DQ? Again, you hear the crowd response.
He deliberately did it.
Yep, he says that Dixon deliberately fouled Whitaker, and he disqualifies Dixon.
Well, I'll tell you, I couldn't look in the eyes of Dixon from here. I guess Richard Steele saw something that we couldn't see, Steve, but I don't know how you can call that an automatic intentional foul.
Richard Steele once again finding himself in the center of controversy. And you can see the disgust on the face of David Dixon, who is disqualified for repeated fouling here in the very first round. This one doesn't get out of the first round.
Is it a bad cut?
You hear Whitaker saying, is it a bad cut?
I'm trying to hit him to the body. He was hitting me low too. I didn't try to hit him low to the body. Look at punk.
Well, you heard the words of David Dixon. Our microphones, great audio, able to pick that up.
You know, part of the problem when you put your head down in charge is you can't always gauge where you're going to land. And I think Dixon needed to pay a little more attention to what he was doing. He was just flailing somewhat wildly, looking to keep the pressure on and make a street fight out of this, which was probably to his benefit, but not the way he did it.
He said that Whitaker was doing the same thing to him, issuing low blows, and every time we see this guy, he never gets past the first round.
That would lead for an early night on a regular basis.
1996, Indio, California, with Tony Tucker, when he came out in frenetic fashion, too.
Came out similarly, wild, and I think there, too, is a low blow or two warning.
There was, and you know, in the meeting with him yesterday, he told us he wasn't going to do that. He was going to come out in very calm, relaxed fashion. But not the case. The disgust and exasperation all over the face of Dixon.
We'll take a look at that first low blow, and that is very low and very clean. That was a clearly low shot. Whitaker comes back with a little right hand uppercut of his own, and the funny thing there is he doesn't even get a warning. Richard Steele saw it as a clean blow, and that was clearly also a low blow. Dixon took a knee. I'm not sure if it hurt him or for effect. There's the right hand again. That was a right hand by Whitaker to the groin of Dixon, and then Dixon retaliating right back to low blow.
I got to pose the question to you, Bobby. Was this a rash decision by referee Richard Steele? Just maybe should have taken a point away from Dixon and let the fight continue? Or do you think it was a warranted judgment by the referee?
Well, he said it was intentional. I'm not sure how we could call that. There was no indication verbally that Dixon said, yeah, I meant to do it. So I don't know how he gets it to be an intentional foul.
Well, on repeated, supposedly intentional fouls, the fight is stopped on a DQ.
Well, here comes a knockdown, which isn't really a knockdown. Dixon swinging wildly, and there he just slips. He misses Whitaker. Whitaker steps under and around him, and it's called a knockdown. I think that Richard Steele had a bad day today. He missed a couple of low blows by Whitaker. Whitaker never got a warning. There was at least 2 or 3. He did hit Dixon low. The Dixons were much more blatant and much more powerful, and the knockdown was not a knockdown at all.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Let's get it up to Jimmy Lennon Jr. for the official time.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the time of 2 minutes 51 seconds in round number 1. Our referee in charge stops the contest after 3 warnings of low blows. Therefore, the winner by way of disqualification, the 8th wonder of the world, Mount Whitaker.
Well, this is really unfortunate because we never really got to see Mount Whitaker in action.
Not really.
Wanted to see if he could turn it on and fight aggressively. And
for 6'8", his inside fighting was better than I thought it would be. But we never really got to see an actual fight. A wrestling match sort of broke out.
A very controversial decision by the referee. You can hear the crowd reaction. They do not agree with Richard Steele. Coming up next, our main event. Number 1 IBF and WBC heavyweight contender David Tua meets former WBA cruiserweight champ Robert Daniels for Tua's IBF Intercontinental and USBA heavyweight titles. And it wasn't long ago when Tony Page interviewed this man, and here he is again in the dressing room. David Tua, who learned from his lone defeat versus Ike Ibeabuchi in '97 to start fast, work fast, get the job done as soon as possible. We certainly saw that with Obed Sullivan in his last fight. His fastest KO, and I know John Ruiz hates to hear this, 19 seconds against the current number 1 WBA contender. That was back in '96. We're set for post-fight reaction from our opening bout. Once again, to Tony Page in the ring.
Thanks very much, Steve. Lance, what happened? Both of you guys were going low. Looked like you got cut or a headbutt. Tell me what happened.
I think my trainer Joe Gleason represents and Showtime. The guy was looking for a way out. Body hit me down below the belt a couple times. And
you went low also. Retaliation?
No, I didn't go low. I went to the body.
He was never warned for a low blow.
Never warned for a low blow.
That was a knockdown.
That was a knockdown.
Looked like you got him on the hip a couple of times, though.
It's on a low blow.
Not a low blow. So he was looking for a way out of the fight. And in his previous fights with Lionel Butler, you know, looked for a way out.
You think the fight should have been stopped?
Well, yeah, he kept hitting me below the belt.
It's the third time he's been DQ'd.
Yeah.
Did you say anything to Richard Steele?
No, I just, you know, I wasn't looking for a way out. I wanted to hurt the guy really bad, and I couldn't get a chance to, and he kept trying to hit me below the belt.
You got cut over the left eye. How'd you get that?
He came in with his head. He was just looking for any excuse to try to, you know, come in with his head, hit me low blow.
It was a 1-2, one low, and then one to the head.
Excuse me, yeah. Head shot with his head and low to the under the belt quite a few times. But it didn't bother me at all. But, you know, it's just, you know, it's not cool, you know.
Were you surprised when he came out and tried to swarm you right off the bat?
No, not really. I knew he was going to come out for a couple rounds doing that, but just take my time, keep my hands on the defense, and take care of the dude. See, I went to the body a couple times. He couldn't take it, so he went down on one knee.
All right, Mount, thanks a lot.
It's a matter of time.
All right, let's go to the man who was disqualified, David Dixon. David?
Hey, Joe.
Tell me what happened.
Well, you know, I'd like to thank Showtime for the opportunity. The guy, you know, I cut him. I seen blood. I went for blood, you know.
He said you hit him with a headbutt.
You know what? Me and him was in there fighting. He can call it what he want to call it. I'm willing to fight him again. The tables were stacked against me from the get-go. You know, I love to fight the guy again. The guy wiggled his way out, you know, of course. You know, he ain't what he think he is, you know, and I love to fight him again. I'll fight him for less money or whatever, you know.
What was the game plan? It seemed like you were going to swarm all over him.
Well, you know what? We came to execute him. You know, we trained real hard for this fight. Yeah, I came to attack the guy because, you know, I know he's not a fighter. And the guy just wiggled out of there, man. You know, the odds were stacked against me, and that's the way it went, you know.
What did Richard Steele tell you?
Richard Steele told me, he warned me, but this guy hit me low, too. I wasn't trying to hit him low intentionally. And Richard Steele just disqualified me. You know, he did his job. I came to do mine. Of course, you see what way the guy took to get out. The tables were stacked against me from the get-go, so if I didn't knock him out, I didn't have a chance to win no way.
All right, David. That's the story up here. Let's go down the ringside.
Plus, I like to say the knockdowns was unnecessarily, you know, I slipped. He didn't knock me down officially. And, you know, I'm willing to fight a guy again. Hopefully, you know, we'll clash down the road if he's still around, you know.
I got you. Let's go down the ringside and Steve Albert.
All right, Tony, this is not the first time this has happened to Dixon, who's been disqualified before for this against a fighter named Lionel Butler. So Lance Mount Whitaker, in controversial fashion, ups his record to 21-1, now 3-0 since his lone defeat to Lou Savarese in March of '99. Meantime, David Dixon, who's disqualified, drops to 21-4-2. Let's go back to Tony Page with the head man here in Nevada, Mark Ratner. Tony?
Thanks very much, Steve. I'm here with Mark Ratner, the executive director of the Nevada State Athletic Commission. First of all, you happy with the stoppage by your referee?
Yes, he told me that he had warned him hard twice. He said, one more low blow, I'm going to disqualify you. And he did it again, and he disqualified him.
Let's take a look at the tape of what happened at the end of the fight.
Okay.
There you see both guys going at it. Whitaker's landing up top. He's still coming forward. And there's the low blow.
Just a dramatic low blow. You can't get any lower than that. And he'd already warned him twice, and that's it.
Now, in a situation like this, there's another look at the stoppage. Well, as he started to get hit, he came forward. You had no problem with Richard Steele's call.
No, I mean, that's why we have a referee in there. I wouldn't want to do it on the first one, but he had warned him twice, and this is the third low blow of the first round. He took action, and that's it.
Now, I know after every one of these fights, you critique your referees and you critique your judges. Any chance in the future that we might get to critique some of your referees?
Absolutely. No, what we'll do tonight is we'll discuss this. I will get the film from Showtime on this, and Richard and I will go into my office and look at it in slow motion and see if we could have done anything different.
Maybe in the future we can get Richard Steele?
My policy is that the officials don't talk after the fight.
Just you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go back down the ringside and Steve Albert.
See, I think that's unfortunate. I really like Mark Ratner, but I think it just promotes more controversy when you can't get it straight from the referee. Mark is not the one who is the third man of the ring. Mark is not the one who is making the calls. Mark's not the one calling the shots there under very heated situations, it's the third man of the ring. In this case, Richard Steele. You want to hear what Richard Steele
It's
has
a political
to say.
move, Steve. It's a political
Well, it's
move.
a cooling off period since the Tyson fight, I'd have to say.
I'm sure because of all the controversy, not just surrounding Mike Tyson, but a lot of different calls. We see how Richard Steele gets booed from the Meldrick Taylor Chavez fight so many centuries ago, it seems like. They consistently hold it against him that he made one controversial call. And it was a very difficult call to make at the time if people were to watch the tape. But this was not the best case of refereeing he's ever done. Since the Chavez-Meldrick Taylor fight, I haven't had a problem with anything he's done. A little bit of trouble today.
Well, I still would love to hear what Richard Steele had to say, even if you don't agree, just to get his opinion.
The man that makes the call, the man that does the job, needs to be accountable and be heard.
Yeah, they're hiding these guys. Anyway, Showtime Championship Boxing continues the hottest summer in boxing next week with another exciting world title affair. Next week, it's the hard-hitting Kostya versus the legendary Julio Cesar Chavez. So Kostya taking on Julio Cesar Chavez next week, Saturday, July 29th at 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. Don't forget now also on the card, Macho Time, Hector Camacho Jr. and Philip Holiday. And Zab Judah defends his title from the champion in recess, Teron Millette, Saturday, August the 5th. Also, the up-and-coming Juan Lezcano takes on former world champ Jesse James Leija. And finally, we finish up our 4 consecutive weekends with a double dip on Friday, August 11th at 11:30 Eastern. The undefeated IBF bantamweight champion Tim Austin, the Cincinnati Kid, takes on number 2 contender Arthur Johnson in a special one-fight presentation. And on the following night, Saturday, August 12th, it's the real deal. Evander Holyfield attempting to recapture the vacant WBA heavyweight title as he takes on number 1 contender John the Quiet Man Ruiz.